Well, wagwan people, bless upon yourself. We here with another update. So by now everyone should know Squash, right? The six boss, you know, he's incarcerated right now, right, on gun charge, and he took a plea deal. Now everyone was waiting to see if Squash was going to take it to trial, right? Since it's the federal government and it's not just the state, right? This is the feds, right? So a lot of people are speculating right now because it's squashed the six boss. He's been charged, right, and in possession, right. He's been charged with being in possession of a illegal firearm, right. Now, from my knowledge, right, there's stories out there with Squash being in other incidents and all these things, but right now within the federal court documents, right, and the documents that I've seen, right, and read for myself, is he's in possession of illegal firearms right now. Nothing to say, not to say, those firearms was used for or on different occasion, or that firearm, whatever the case may be, right. He's not being charged for none of those things, right. No unaliving, um no robbery, no, like I said, just possession of a firearm, right, and being in possession of an illegal firearm, um, and he took a plea deal. To me, why Squash took the plea deal, it would be a wise decision, right? Because if he didn't take the plea deal, then definitely they was going to take it to trial. And since it's the Fed or the federal government, the feds, they don't play, right? So on that note, Squash, to me, he made a kind of like a wise decision, all right, not to fight this case. And then you see the feds, they already trying to bring in new evidence to strengthen their case. Why this case should be proceed on a federal level and not on a state level, right? Because if it was a state level, Squash, he would have got a better chance of getting off. But still, since he's an illegal immigrant in the country, right, and being in possession of a firearm, he still probably would have been faced in deportation, right. And in the federal case, he's still facing deportation, right, because he's still here on unlawfully, right. Whether he came over legal, overstayed his visa, work permit, whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter. Right now, he's in federal custody, and he's being charged with a firearm, and um, in the federal government, you know, documents is basically saying that he's here illegally, right? So you have to take that argument off the table. So deportation is still going to be up, whether he took this plea deal and he's going to plea out. Now the reason why I think Squash lawyer might have tell him to take this plea deal right now is because he's just in possession of an illegal firearm, right? Now, if they go ahead with the case, right, and Squash wanted to take the trial, whether he think he could beat it because this is what he's being charged with right now. They have a thing they call superseding indictment, or something like that, right? Where they could supersede, or once the case is being taken, right, or took to trial, right, the prosecutor, right, they can they can bring in new evidence, right? They can supersede this indictment based on what he's being indicted on right now. And what I'm seeing, he's just being indicted on gun charge or firearm charges, illegal firearm, and ammunition charges. So they probably looking at it and say, yo, we might as well just take it from here, bro. You might as well just take a plea deal. No, once you take a plea deal, that means you're saying yes, you're guilty of being in possession of a firearm and all of these things. It doesn't mean that Squash have to rat as of right now, right? I know a lot of people are saying because of the Syrupy video, a lot of social media, people that the on the spot media, a lot of these, YouTubers that cover these kind of story when the artists they get in something, get into problems with the judicial or the judicial system or the penal system, where they're penalized by doing certain things, right? But as of right now, I don't think Squash he's not in a position like to actually rap, if you understand what I'm saying, to say, well, oh, this, that, and who knows? I don't know. I'm just saying, based on the documents I'm reading right now, whether those or whether the firearm, right, if it's whether it's one or two, right, firearms that Squash or he and his the person that the driver that was also you know detained, that was you know in possession of a vehicle with an expired driver's license, or I think he didn't have his driver's license, or it would expire. We're just going off the dome right now, right? um you know this is why Squash end up in that situation, because the person didn't had a valid driver's license, so they had a probable cause to check the vehicle, or search them, whatever the case may be, and that's how they come up with the illegal firearm possession. And Squash was in possession of that firearm. That's what I'm reading, right? So that's why he's being charged with it. So as of right now, that's what it is. That's why I think the lawyer tell him to take, the plea deal, because all he's pleading out to is being in possession of an illegal firearm. Whether that firearm come back, um, or they say, well, this firearm was used, for, or in different, cases where this firearm was used to commit other, illegal, um, or being used, for illegal reasons, right? Whether it's robbery, homicide, whatever the case may be, that's a different story. And that's why I said, I think this is why he plead right now, because if you take it to trial, then they could come in with a superseding indictment to say, well, it's not just that firearm he was charged. This is the charge he's charged with right now, but he's also, and they could invite, right, new evidence to the judge, and it's up to the judge to either let that evidence, be submitted or admitted, and used in the trial. But as of right now, there's not going to be a trial, because Squash, he took a plea deal. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, as of right now, he's not in so deep, right, until after, right, we get once they go back to the courts or the judge, and they say, well, yes, my client, right, took this plea deal. The judge is gonna, basically read out to Squash what he's pleading out to, and all of these things, and then, we would have to take it from there. But as of right now, that ain't happened. So all that's happening right now is just mere speculation, right? So, but for me, having experience going through the system, the penal system, right now, Squash is not in a position really where he's, like I said, he's in so deep where he have to like squeal or sing or snitch, right? But I was saying the best thing for Squash to do is to take a plea deal. You understand what I'm saying? And on a federal level, whether he you know once the judge, right, based on the plea deal he takes, based on um, the judge is going to make his decision. What is going to happen is that because Squash is an illegal immigrant, he's still going to be up for deportation. Now, taking the plea deal, it allows his lawyer to fight to say, well, okay, they want their client. It's like he have a choice to say, well, okay, whether he want to go get deported back to Jamaica or any one of the countries that America have. What's this thing what they call, right? There's a word for it, right? They have this thing where uh, they work with other countries right now, right? Where they can deport you to those countries because those countries and America, they have um, a contract basically signed to say, well, we're gonna house, prisoners that's being detained and is going to be deported out of America to those countries for how long it is, and America is going to support those countries right now. But basically, America just don't want those people within the United States of America. You understand what I'm saying? So within taking the plea deal, Squash, his lawyers still have a room to say, well, they want him to, well, and who knows? Some people are saying he could file for asylum, saying his life is in danger and all that. I don't think that's gonna work, right? And because look, if it was being taken to trial, all of that would have been out the window. You know what I mean? So I don't think that's gonna work. You know, for him to seek any asylum in the country and all that right now, because basically you're in the country. You could put up a fight to say, but yes, well, my life is in danger. That's why I'm always, carrying a firearm with me. But you have to remember, right? There's ways and means you could go about, like I said, securing it. So why now wait until you get caught up in this situation to, make those claims? And then you remember they already was um, labeling Squash as a trans, was it a trans international or trans something gang leader, right? And they're saying certain things already. This is on the federal level, right? This is why the feds, they're introducing information to strengthen their case to actually take it to trial, right? No, what Squash lawyer probably, you know, um, say to him, right? Or basically coaching him right now and telling him, it's like, yo, this is your best chance of, not really going to trial, doing some football or basketball numbers and all of that. Um, and this is your best bet right now of basically just going up for deportation. Who knows whether the judge make a decision and he could say, well, how long Squash been in prison, whether that's going to be time served or based on the years. you know I'm sure they're not going to give him probation, because why would they give him probation if he's going to be up for deportation? So I don't know how many days, weeks, months, years he might have to spend in prison before deportation, right? But that's kind of like his best bet right now. And anything, you know, it's like once that's being granted, I guess then he could, I don't know, get a lawyer that's not just a immigration lawyer, even though I don't think that's what Squash have. But and how long his pockets or deep his pockets is, to fight on, getting Squash to stay here. You know what I mean? Because you have to remember, it would just be on illegal possession of a firearm, right, or a gun charge, and that's not so bad. Even though it might sound bad, but it's not so bad, right? As of right now, you know what I mean? But if Squash had taken it to trial, or if they had took it to trial, like I said, I did not see Squash beating this case. I think that's why Sir P said, even if Squash beat this case, right, and his lawyer they come up with some way that he's still here in the United States, that means he's working with the feds, bro. Let's keep it real. He's working with the feds, because then it would be like, okay, well, you admitted, to being guilty, because that's what taking a plea is, right? An admission of guilt. And you're illegally, and you're not supposed to have, you know, no sorts of weapon or firearm, I should say, on you, right? With ammunition. So even if you beat the case, well, not beat the case, but because you already plead, if the judge, deal with you a certain way and still, grant you a light sentence and all this thing, you're still going to be up for deportation, especially right now, right? In this atmosphere with Donald Trump, in office, and what's basically going on, right? People still going to look and say, well, if you get off and you here, right, and you do not get deported, then I might have to look at this different. You know what I mean? And say, well, okay, what's so special about squash? You know what I mean? But we would have to wait and see, people. Trust me. We just have to wait and see right now, because as of right now, the case is not being taken. It's not going to go to trial. And if the case had go to trial, trust me, that's when everything, all the beans would have been out, right? The closet would have been open, and all the skeletons would have been come rolling out, and because everything is going to be in the, in the court documents, right? And I don't think that document with Squash right now is going to be sealed. It's not. I mean, come on, it's Squash, right? So since he take the plea deal right now, I think that's why a lot of people are surprised, but I'm not, because I'm like, this is one of the best route that Squash could have, he could have take right now. Maybe he got some good lawyers that's coaching him, because if he really was trying to take this to trial, boy, I'm telling you, he would have seen some numbers, especially when the feds come for you, because this is not on a state level. This is a federal, indictment. You know what I mean? So, I'm just waiting to see how this is going to play out, man. But as of right now, I cannot say that Squash is like in so deep that, he really have to buy some honey and lemon, and start practicing his vocal, start working on his vocal strings. I really don't see it that way right now. But who knows? You know what I mean? Let's wait and see. But reading the documents, he's been, charged with, illegal possession of firearm and, ammo. Well, when I say ammo, not ammunition, like whatever, but not because the firearm, it wasn't empty. You know what I mean? So each bullets, like I said, it depends. They carry years, right? But yeah, I really don't see it as that detrimental to the artist, and I know it because it's Squash, and the Six Boss. A lot of people gonna be concerned. A lot of people gonna be flabbergasted. A lot of people gonna be, be and like I said, the good thing about it right now, I don't know yet, is that this case is not gonna go to trial. You know what I mean? That's the only good thing about it. But like I said, let's wait and see, people. Let's wait and see, man, because why? May I tell you? But if either way, it don't look good for the artist. It don't look good for Squash. Because if he gets deported back to Jamaica, you know, he's gonna be waiting to be picked up over there, because that's why he ran away from Jamaica in the first place, right? And then he come over here in the U.S. and then go on with the same thing, get caught up, and now have to be deported back to Jamaica. So it's like a lose-lose situation. But as of right now, that's all I'm seeing. You know what I mean? and maybe some prison time. And I don't know if he's going to do time serve. Like I said, I don't know how long. I would have to check us to see when he got incarcerated and how long he's been in there as of right now, right? But as of right now, like I said, the case is not being it's not going to go to trial, and that's the only good thing about it. But when the judge handed out, when he go back to court, whether it's August 2nd or 3rd, when he goes back to court, right? I don't know if the judge is gonna give his um, hand out the sentence based on Squash taking a plea deal, or if he's going to go there and plea, and then he's going to have to go back to court to hear his final judgment or whatever the case may be. But until then, we would have to wait and hear the verdict and see where this is going to go. You know what I mean? So with that said, people, I hope you guys understand, and I hope I kind of like shed a little light on what's going on with Squash right now. And you know if you feel anything different, or leave it in the comment section. If you feel like I said something that it wasn't making sense, or yo, Hardball TV, well, this, and you could leave it in the comment section. But right now, that's how I see it. Because if you really read what he's being charged with based on the federal indictment and what he's pleading out to, I would only have to look at it and take it from that aspect as of right now, until the judge make his decision, and then we would have to take it from there. All right. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this update. But yeah, man. Hopefully, like I said, and I hope the other young artists they learn from this, because Squash could have been out here making a whole lot of money right now, but based on his choices or his decision, this is why he is where he is right now. So can't really go around that. But as of right now, it's not looking that dim. But who am I to say? Let's wait and see. But his chances looking really slim, staying here, or still being here in America after the judge hand out his decision. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see, people. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, share the video. Until the next notification, wow, go stay blessed, people. Little more.